Hello, I'm here, still, top of Churchy Parmark, Wall Street End on this very busy, noisy Thursday afternoon. It really is a busy day, really is a glorious day. You see, a kind gentleman just approached me, asked me what I was doing. I said, I make videos regarding the cultural transformation Liverpool is now undergoing. He said, oh, I see. He said, well, I believe in love and togetherness. And I said, listen, so do I. I love our black and Chinese communities and other small communities here. It's when that balance is upset. He said, well, we need more tolerance. I said, sir, you took the words right out of my mouth, as Meatloaf said, right? I said, but you need to go to Blackburn, where there's two cultures side by side, having spoke to one another for over 50 years. No intentions of speaking to one another, got nothing in common, and never have and never will be. There's intolerance there, sir, and it's not from the original hosts who welcomed them with open arms. It's from the culture that doesn't want to assimilate, wants to dominate. It's not that they haven't been given an opportunity to integrate, assimilate. They don't want to. So given that, that's what I'm saying. You can't integrate them or assimilate them because they don't want to. They don't want to be assimilated or integrated. They've got their own culture, their own ways that they've brought with them. They haven't forsaken. And so he didn't know what to say then. He was lost for words. Well, I said, you're right. I wish there was more tolerance in the world, right? And especially here in Liverpool and beyond. But I said, you need to go to Blackburn. There's two communities there, separated, aligned right down the middle. Two cultures, like I've said, having spoke to one another for decades. Don't want to. Now, it's not that no one hasn't given the culture that came and settled in Blackburn an opportunity to integrate or assimilate. They don't want to. So how do you force someone to integrate, assimilate, when they don't want to? You can't, right? And he was literally lost for words, God bless him. He was a nice man, right? A really nice man. I'm glad that he stopped me. I'm glad I spoke to him now. I hope he now understands where Joe Owens is coming from. How do you assimilate, integrate a culture that doesn't want to? You can't. And that's what's happened right across the country. And is now happening here in our glorious city, right? Long-standing proud Scouts communities are now changing. Most, not all, belong to the culture that doesn't want to assimilate, wants to dominate, right? You can't force them to integrate or assimilate when they don't want to, right? Like what's happened in Blackburn. There's two communities, two different cultures, and they haven't spoken to one another for decades, and they don't want to, because one culture doesn't want to assimilate, doesn't want to integrate, doesn't want to talk, doesn't want tolerance, wants intolerance, right? And he thought he had me there when he said, we need more tolerance, and I said, sir, fully agree with you. He took the words right out of my mouth, Meatloaf said. But what he forgot, what he hadn't, or conveniently forgot, I don't know. It was Middle Eastern origins. I'm not sure. But when he was hit with that, then you need to. When I said you need to go to Blackburn and spread some tolerance there, because it's a community where intolerance reigns, right? Parallel lives prevail. Like I've said. There is a culture there, in Blackburn as one example, that doesn't want to assimilate, wants to dominate, doesn't want integration or assimilation. It's not that it hasn't been given a chance or offered to integrate and assimilate. It has, it doesn't want to. So how do you force a culture to assimilate, integrate when it doesn't want to? Therefore, that's why we need to stop further cultural change of our glorious city before we start having problems these other communities across the country are now having, right? That gentleman stopping me, I couldn't, he's really That's the word for it. He's made my point. That is it. We do need more tolerance. But it's not from host communities that have welcomed new and not so new arrivals. It's from a culture that doesn't want to assimilate, wants to dominate. It's got no intention, and you're not going to be able to force them because they don't want to be forced to assimilate or integrate. That's why we must oppose further cultural change. Then on top of that, you have other nationalities coming into the city that have got nothing in common with other nationalities, and so there's more conflict, there's more confusion. The whole lot is going to be a mess, like I've said. It's going to be a disaster for our city long term, and that's why it must be opposed, ladies and gentlemen. Because if it's not opposed, then trust me, we have big trouble around the corner, right? The culture that doesn't want to assimilate, wants to dominate, doesn't want to mix, it doesn't want to spread tolerance, it spreads intolerance. You don't believe me, go and walk around some of these places and you will see what Joe Owens is saying and where I'm coming from. This is no animosity against anyone. That's the way it is. That culture's not meant to be here, and we're not meant to be where they are, right? That's how it is. So it's always been, always should be. Not hatred, not racism, far right or whatever, right? It's the awful truth, I'm afraid. These politicians know what Joe Owens is saying, but they're just turning a blind eye to it, right? That's what they're doing. They're turning a blind eye to it. They don't want to deal with the awful truth, what is happening. We can't leave this to our children, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have the right needed of these reckless politicians. Remember, say no to cultural change, yes to Scouse pride. Shout it out loud, Scouts and proud. Okay, thank you.